like, when all this like the Bitcoin knowledge and everything started coming through, and I remember listening to Safer Dean's podcast, and he was talking about the Middle East, and there's like 10 countries that are still monarchs and 10 countries that are now democracies. And if you're raised in a democratic country, it's like democracy is the best thing ever. And then you look at them economically over the last 10 years, every monarch has been successful and every democracy has basically tanked. And I think like you have these centralized parties coming in, like we talk about time preference in Bitcoin. And like if you're the monarch, like you want your, seven generations ahead of you ancestors, like children, to still be in control. It's like still centralized, but you actually want the country to last. Whereas I think when we look at democracy and in the West, it's like you have these 4-year cycles. And it's like, how can I try to make the biggest splash possible and then potentially even fuck the person who takes over?
It's 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 all fake actually. The political industrial complex, or whatever you want to call it, is fake. This idea that I mean, see, I'm way past politics now, bro. Like, I used to take my vote very seriously back when I was asleep in the matrix. I thought it mattered. I thought whoever was in power could make some changes, could do some stuff. And to your point, you're exactly right. The time frames are too small, and everything's set up for the greater good. This kind of this socialist communist idea that you hear it all the time, where billionaires bad. I'm not, there are a lot of billionaires that are a bit suspect, but anyone that's got money needs to give it to everyone that hasn't done anything to, this proof of work concept, right? And to your point about democracy is exactly right. I just want to I want a clear set of parameters or whatever you like. I can do whatever I want as long as I'm not, hurting anybody else or causing any problem to anyone else. Let me live, stay out of my life, and just let the free market play out. But of course, the government doesn't want that because they want people to rely on them. They want to have, people that need their help, sort of thing. Because otherwise, what's their job? Like if they were all libertarian sort of people like us, we wouldn't need a government. Maybe just to like fix the roads or whatever, which they can't even do that.
Uh-huh. But I mean, people always manage themselves. You know what I mean? Like you go back to our distant, distant ancestors living in tribal settings. They're still like the chief, and everyone's like, yeah, like he's really wise. Like I'm happy to take his lead on the small matters that concern our little world. But when you have these like massive federal, national level centralized parties, they just cannot do anything correctly. And it's like a brain power thing. It's like you have 200 people trying to judge the entire free market. It's impossible. And like you look at like why communism has always failed, and they do the same thing. It's like we got to take down the billionaires. Like you look at like the USSR. So they like take down all the rich and all the oligarchs and everything out there. But then they need another enemy. Now we go after the academics and you kill off all the academics, you know? And it's like just slowly but surely, you just like destroy the entire proof of work system, you know? And then everything just falls out of balance.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. And this is where I'm at with politics, right? Like it's all fake because you look at it in the West. I mean, you can see it right now. There's no leadership, bro. Look at like Keir Starmer, freaking Albanese, Mark Carney. We've got, probably don't know our Prime Minister, Chris Luxon. Bro, these are the beta-ish beta males you've ever seen in your life. These guys don't have any type of leadership. They're not people that you look up to. They're not people that you think this guy's going to take us forward. They are just weak little soy boy human beings, and that's by design because they're being controlled by the elites or people that we don't know, corporations, whatever. They only know that they're in there for a period of time. They're just going to line their pockets, and what is it in America is real bad, where they're on fairly modest incomes from the government, yet they all retire multi-gazillionaires. Like, how does that work? It's pretty obvious.
Straight out of office, and then you're just like on the board of like 10 mining companies and oil companies and all this shit, you know? It's like, oh yeah, there was no handshaking that happened there.
Yep. I mean, yes. I mean, because there's a friend of mine used to be leader of a party, a political party here in New Zealand years ago, and but he's a bit older than me, obviously, but he's a real like I love the guy. He's incredible, and listening to him, we've had a lot of conversations. He doesn't even really care about politics anymore. He doesn't even like talking about it, but I'm interested in it, and I've asked him, like how does this thing work, right? And he said to me when he was a party leader, right, it was a small party at the time, but probably one of the more conservative parties in New Zealand. Anyway, he said he would turn sorry the limo or whatever would turn up at his house in the morning. He would go in it, and he wouldn't even really know what he was doing that day. He'll have a diary that's written by in his office, and then they'll be like, "Well, what are we doing today? Oh, we're going to go speak at the where it is West Auckland Rotary Club. You're going to do that. Then we're going to go fly down to here, and you're going to have a meeting here, and then you're going to do something else and do something else. Cool." And that was the day. So even times when they'd say, "Oh, now you're going to go and have a coffee with this MP here to get a photo," basically, and then there would there's been some sort of kerfuffle or whatever, but the bureaucrats that sit behind him, basically the politicians, which are just the figureheads of that party, the bureaucrats that actually run those guys were filling up their diaries and that they've already done the deal, right? You're just going there to take the photo. It's already been. Don't worry about it. We've already done this. And it's the bureaucrats that have been in Parliament for 40, 50 years. These are the ones that you don't see, right? So they're the ones actually running the country. The people that are in there elected are just really just the figureheads and just the talking head for however long they stay in there until they get rolled, and then the next guy goes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like just all a big show, you know? And like they have like the fancy buildings and they wear the fancy clothes to make it look legitimate. It's the same with like even just like all the language, you know, you read like even like to get visas. Like I'm getting a visa right now to go to Peru. And it's like all the language. I'm like, I don't even understand what they're asking me, but it's almost like they intentionally do that to be like, you're just not smart enough to like understand how it actually works. But in reality, it's just like this like cognitive dissonance that no one understands, and they're like, yeah, it's because like we're smart.
But you've got to create the system to validate whatever that thing is that you're doing. Like, I mean, I wouldn't relate it to visas, but there's so many, it's like, vehicle registration, like all these little ways that you have to pay money for things that, why the fuck do I do that? Why do I have to, we have, I don't know what you have in Australia, but we have like, road user charges, which is what you pay on top of your diesel. Then we have registration, registered vehicle, then a warrant of fitness, then you're paying your tax through your fuel is anyway. And so there's all these little slithers of money that's just going out of your pocket for what reason? And it escalates pretty much every year, which is we all know is driven by inflation. And sadly, most people don't even know it's happening. It's the boiling frog scenario, isn't it? Like you just sort of go, man, things getting expensive. It's crazy.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, even trying to explain to people like what purchasing power actually means, you know? Like without the foundation of Bitcoin, it's so hard to even interpret it. You're like, oh, my bank account hasn't changed. It's like, yes, but like everything else has doubled in price in the last 10 years. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy the show, don't forget to like and subscribe below. It really helps a growing channel like this out. And click up here, it'll take you to a collection of the best this podcast has to offer.